Welcome to the Shootin' Show. Stand by for shots fired.
Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shootin' Show. We're so glad to be with you again this week. I think we have another great show for you. We're going to be shooting this Browning Buckmark Silhouette 22, which is pretty outstanding. And I tell you what, friends, please, if you're watching by satellite, please call your local cable company or local TV station and remind them that our program is there. They can make money on our show. We'll be so pleased for them to tape our program off the satellite. They can run it when they want to. We have some advertising time left in the program for local advertisers. So, you know, we need to get our message out. We need to reach as many people as we possibly can. We appreciate everyone writing to us. Our video is being so well received by our audience all over the United States and, in fact, several other countries that we reach. We're so pleased that people have been so nice to us. We still need you to call those radio stations, those TV cable networks, and please ask them to play our video and play our song. It's so important. Every time it does, it helps our program. We have a new arrangement with KWKH Radio, our good friend Larry Scott, and we're so pleased that he's going to be working with us. We're going to have him as guest host, or certainly host assistant, on some programs in the near future. We're very excited about that. And friends, we have some information that we're going to be giving you a little bit later on in the program. The FBI, the head of the FBI, is now backing some gun legislation. And friends, it is time to stand up. We have got to act. We have got to write some letters and make some phone calls to our representatives and to our senators. We will be giving you that information a little bit later in the show. But anyway, it's a great day to be out shooting. And friends, what we've got to do, we've got to let the rest of America know just in fact how much fun it is to be out shooting. We've got to get people out on the range. If they can't get to a range, we've got to start them with pellet guns or whatever else. But we've got to get people to start shooting to understand just what it is about guns that we like, about our sport that we enjoy. And we need to help these people understand the very reason that the framers of the Constitution put the Second Amendment in as they did. So without further ado, as you've heard me say before, let's let another shooting show begin. All right, friends, let's take our Browning Buckmark and our Blammo ammo target and open another program. Now, friends, as you can see, as compared to our Colt Combat Commander, the Browning Buckmark is a silhouette, primarily going to be a tremendous hunting handgun, and we found some accuracy in that little handgun that, I say little, it's not very small, that's really hard to believe, but they're so well made and an excellent value for the money. Now, friends, what we shot our Blammo ammo exploding target there a moment ago, and I have to say that was an easy shot, even on a small target. This is one of the most accurate handguns that I have ever fired, one of the most accurate handguns I've ever seen. This is the Browning Buckmark, and this is the Silhouette model. It has the heavy barrel. Of course, it has a fore-end like a long gun. It has real finely made palm swell grips on the back. It is really a piece of workmanship. It has hooded sights, and of course the hoods will come off. It's not a big deal. You can, of course, your rear sight is fully adjustable. But tell you the truth, friends, this is a gun that really begs to be scoped. It has a rib on top of the barrel that you can mount a pistol scope just about anywhere you want to, and it is really, all I can say is it's unbelievable. This thing shoots like a house fire. And we have really enjoyed this gun. Our good friends at Britton's have loaned us this for testing today. And we've had it several days, and it is a most impressive performer. It has been extremely reliable with a lot of different types of ammunition. It has a slide that works underneath the sighting rib here. It holds 10 in the magazine, of course 1 in the chamber for a total of 11. It has a 1911 type safety as far as a thumb safety there. Here's your slide release on the side. It has the magazine release in the same place as we're used to on the typical 1911. It is really, all I can say is, friends, this is a piece of work. This thing does work. I can really understand why these guns are so popular in the Silhouette game for 22 long rifle Silhouette, because I tell you what, friends, if you can shoot the gun, if you know how to shoot, the gun will definitely do the rest. It is just that easy. We're going to show you some groups in just a moment we shot earlier, and it's just a phenomenal performer. And I tell you what, it has done so well with the Spear or CCI small game bullet, which is a very popular hunting bullet. Friends, I tell you what, with a scope on this jewel here, if you can shoot a handgun just halfway or get a halfway decent rest, you can leave your .22 rifle at home and go squirrel hunting with this, because it really is that accurate and it is that easy to shoot. This particular gun has an adjustable trigger, and you can get it just about like you want it. And of course, a number of different gunsmiths offer packages of different combinations for the Browning Buckmark. But I can really see why these guns have become as popular as they have, because they're relatively, in comparison to some other target guns that these guns will shoot with, they're really very economically priced for what you get. And it is really something that, if you want to find out how good you can shoot, you can get one of these and go out and just see what your abilities are, because the gun will really do whatever your capabilities are. In fact, I wonder, as I've said many times on the program, I'm your average shooter, and I shot some groups with this gun and said, wait a minute, I'm not sure I could do that, because it is just such an excellent shooting handgun. It, of course, has a heavy barrel. It's roughly, I'm going to say, just about 1 inch in diameter, maybe a little bit less. And you can really tell that that barrel was made correctly, because you just can't shoot as well as these guns will if you don't have a lot of care in workmanship. You know, Browning makes a lot of different products, and as of yet they haven't been a sponsor on our program. We'd certainly like to have them, but you can just about depend on anything Browning makes, from boots to bows to handguns to long guns. The quality is really going to be there. These folks have extremely high standards as far as quality goes, and it does show. Well, let's shoot our Buckmark here, and to load the gun, you have a typical magazine. You'll insert it in the base, and you've got to be sure that that magazine is all the way in. Be sure it clicks. And now to load the gun, we'll push our safety off. We'll pull our slide all the way back and let it go. So now it's loaded, we'll apply our safety. And let's shoot the gun over here for a moment and just see what it'll do. Now, friends, we're going to be shooting some of the small game bullets here on our target, and we're at about 12 or so yards from our paper target. And what I think we'll do is, just for fun, we're going to run up and let you watch the bullets as they hit the target. So let's do that, and we'll take a look at it. So let's get started. Now, friends, as you can see, that's 5 shots. I had a flyer here. Of course, I was just shooting offhand about 35 or so feet, or 36, 38 feet, whatever it was. But my goodness, even for offhand shooting, and this is about as good as I'm going to shoot this afternoon without a rest, that's 5 shots in about a half an inch with one flyer about a half inch away. That is just ridiculous accuracy, certainly for offhand shooting. My goodness, you could pick a squirrel out up a tall tree with any kind of decent rest, especially with a scope on the gun. Of course, this is with open sight. Now then, let's move over to the next target, one that we shot a little earlier from a sandbag rest at 25 yards, and take a look at what it did. Now, friends, here are some of the groups that we were shooting earlier from 25 yards, and this particular group was with the CCI small game bullet. This was with a Winchester bullet. It's just a standard garden variety. We've tried a couple of target groups, but we tried several other brands of ammunition. But this little 22 is like all the rest of them, like all other firearms. It will like a particular type or brand of bullet. Now let me show you something. This group of 5 shots here, shot from a sandbag rest at 25 yards, full 75 feet. This is a dime, and see, the dime will completely cover that entire group. And we've got another one right here, the same drill. The dime actually will cover the entire group. Now, friends, I tell you what, that's as good as I can shoot a handgun with open sight. if you want the gun to do better than that, you're going to have to get a better shooter. And Henry Martin, a very fine gunsmith, was down here a little earlier, and I'm sure that if he was shooting, Henry's a better shot than I am, he could really show you something. But friends, I tell you what, for an over-the-counter gun that retails for, anywhere between $350 and $450, depending on where you buy it, this is just tremendous performance. Anytime you can get inside a dime, this group, in fact, is 55/100ths of an inch in diameter. Inside 5 shots, a dime at 25 yards. Excuse me, but I'm impressed for any .22 handgun, certainly. And there's no telling. Heck, with a good scope on it, it might do that at 50 yards. I don't know. We don't have a pistol scope handy today, but I tell you what, I can really see why these guns are so popular in silhouette and long-range shooting. Well, friends, I tell you what, I am so impressed with this Browning Buckmark. You know, it's such a shame. Most of the stuff that comes through our program I don't get to keep. In fact, almost all of it. But this would be one that, I tell you what, this would be a definite keeper right here, because anything that is so accurate and such a precision machine is just so much fun to literally play with and to shoot. And I say play, we always observe, even when we say we're playing with our guns, we always observe the safety procedures. We never, ever go outside the parameters of safety, such as eye protection and hearing protection, and always pointing the gun in a safe direction, and never, ever, under any circumstance, do we put our finger on that trigger until we're ready to shoot. We always observe those rules of safety, which are so important. I tell you what, if you want a super, super accurate .22 handgun, friends, I tell you, there may be a more accurate gun, but I just haven't handled one yet. These are tremendous values, and of course the good folks at Browning will back these guns up to the hilt. So this is the Silhouette model, I suppose. I guess that's what it's called. It is definitely a long, heavy barrel Buckmark, .22 long rifle. I tell you what, friends, trust me on this one. This is one you should take a look at. You will enjoy it if you do buy one.
Awesome firepower, precision rifle skills. That's what you'll find, along with lots more, in these two great new videos, Marine Corps Firepower and Marine Corps Silent Drill Team. See an actual firepower demonstration of the latest Marine Corps weapons of the infantry, including the M220 Echo-Tow missile system, grenade launchers, mortars, and lots more. Plus the Marine Corps Silent Drill Team, an incredible display of precision rifle handling skills by the most respected and admired rifle squad in the world. Two great new videos for one low price, just $19.95 through this special TV offer. Marine Corps Firepower and Marine Corps Silent Drill Team. Two videos for the price of one. Call and order yours right now.
Call toll-free with your credit card ready, 1-800-942-8273. By ordering today, you'll receive this 32-page gun video catalog absolutely free. So order now, 1-800-942-8273. Call now.
Stay tuned for the Shootin' Show after this break for your local cable company or television station. And now, friends, let's hear from our good friend Art Alphin with the great A Square Company at One Industrial Park in Bedford, Kentucky. That phone number is area 502-255-7456. And, of course, Art is retired from West Point. He was an instructor there and really one of the nicest people we've met. They build some tremendous rifles and ammunition, and today Art's going to talk about some assault weapons from far back in history. So let's see what he has to tell us today.
The bow and arrow as a projectile weapon had been known for some time. There are indications that its earliest use may have been 15,000 BC. Ever since that time, the bow and arrow has gone through periods of resurgence and disuse. I would like to cover the period 1200 to 1450 AD and focus on two competing bow-arrow projectile systems, the longbow and the crossbow. The crossbow was first seen in about 400 BC and was a direct descendant of the gastrophe, a Greek siege weapon. By the 1200s, it was an individual weapon and could be carried and manipulated by one man. However, it was still powerful, with draw weights running from hundreds up to thousands of pounds. The draw weights were so heavy that the shooter required either a winch, like this one in the West Point Museum, or a rack and pinion affair called a cranaquin, like this one in the Kulmbach Museum, in order to cock the weapon. This obviously decreased the volume of fire. Though the bolt which it fired was aerodynamically efficient, the crossbow was quite short-range. The abrupt acceleration of the crossbow generally disturbed the launch of the bolt and hurt its accuracy. Further, since the shooter placed the crossbow up in front of his face in order to aim and fire, he had no real ability to aim over the target as the range increased. However, the crossbow did one thing very, very well. It penetrated the chainmail armor of the armored horsemen. The competing projectile system was the longbow. Longbow was a straight, simple bow. It had no fancy recurves, and it was composed of one piece. There was no horn or gut like a compound bow. It fired the legendary cloth yard shaft, an arrow roughly 30 or 31 inches long. These arrows fell into two types. The flight arrow, which was basically a light-shafted arrow designed for firing at long range, say from 100 to 240 yards, much like this modern broadhead. And the sheath arrow, a very heavy-shafted arrow with a very sharp pyramidal point. This sheath arrow could range up to 120 yards and was specifically designed for the penetration of armor. In our example today, the crossbow that we'll be firing is much less powerful than a real war crossbow of the 1200s. In our case, it is cocked by use of a goat's foot lever. This lever is placed in a ring at the front of the crossbow, and the foot of the lever is then placed against the drawstring. The crossbow is braced against the body, and the string is drawn to the rear. The bowstring is then held in place by what we would call today a sear. The goat's foot is then taken off, and a bolt is placed in a trough in front of the bowstring. Upon pressing the trigger, which was simply a lever mounted behind the tiller, or the long part of the crossbow, the bowstring would lurch forward, launching the arrow into flight. When you see this weapon in action, please remember that it has only 1/3 the power of a real war bow of the 1200s. This means that its range, 30 or 40 yards, would be about 1/3 that which a real war crossbowman would have gotten. However, because it is so much easier to cock with that goat's foot, its volume of fire will be roughly double what a crossbowman of that day and age would have attained. The longbow worked in a relatively simple manner. The shooter placed the nock of his arrow on the bowstring and laid the shaft of the arrow over his left hand, which held the bow at the belly. He then hooked 2 or 3 fingers over the bowstring, straddling the arrow. Drawing the string back to the hinge of his jaw, he then aimed at the enemy and released. Our longbow is much closer to what they were using at the time. We believe it to have had about 2/3 the power of what a real war longbow would have had at that time. Therefore, its range will be a bit less, but its volume of fire will be almost exactly the same. Our chart reflects the best historical evidence which is available to us. It is quite obvious that the longbow outranges the crossbow by better than 2 to 1 and has a much higher volume of fire. It would seem then that the longbow would be the obvious choice. However, the chart does not tell everything. At the longer ranges, the longbow would be using the flight arrow, which is not necessarily an armor penetrator. It would certainly penetrate normal clothing or leather, but would not penetrate chainmail. Also at the longer ranges, though hits can be obtained, the angle of fall is quite steep and the velocity greatly reduced. The longbow has one other grave disadvantage in relation to the crossbow. A crossbowman can be trained in a short period of time, and he need not keep his weapon with him constantly. It could be issued by the king or by a baron immediately prior to going off to war. This is not true of the longbow. The longbow came to England from Wales in roughly 1190 AD. In any other place or time, the longbow would probably not have borne fruit and simply died away. But in England at that time, with its free yeomanry, its trust of the common citizenry, the Magna Carta, plus the fact that it was an insular society, the longbow took root. The longbow was a difficult weapon to master, required training from a very young age, and took constant practice in order to retain shooting skills. At least 7 years were required for the training of a combat-ready longbowman. The tales we remember as children of Robin Hood and the county fairs and Maid Marian and the Merry Men and so forth were based in fact. The fairs were sponsored by the king as a means of instituting longbow practice. This could not have happened in any other society. Lastly, remember that the longbowman, once trained, became a valuable commodity that could not be squandered. Beyond these problems, both the crossbow and the longbow suffered another disadvantage. They both were extremely vulnerable during the loading process. A longbowman or a crossbowman could not wear much armor and still operate his weapon, nor could he carry shock weapons with him like this broadsword or this mace and still carry his longbow or crossbow, the bolts, arrows, and so forth. Further, when he commenced to fire, he normally was rooted to the spot. He either had to lay his arrows out in front of him, string his longbow, and get ready to fire, or in the case of the crossbowman, he had to lay out his bolts and then get his cocking mechanism ready. Therefore, they were not mobile, and if they were attacked at close range, they basically had no method of defending themselves. Consequently, the longbow and the crossbow were either defensive weapons fired from the inside of a castle, or, if used in the open field, other people had to be nearby in order to defend them. Further, longbowmen and crossbowmen, if they knew battle was coming, frequently placed sharpened stakes in the ground in front of them as a method of stopping the charge of the armored horseman before the horseman's lance could be brought to bear. Remember that the longbow and the crossbow were in their heyday just prior to the resurgence of trained formations of infantry armed with the pike. Consequently, the protection for the longbowman and the crossbowman was not necessarily well coordinated in the 1200s and early 1300s. It is, of course, true that the longbow performed very, very well in the early stages of the 100 Years' War, racking up great victories at Crécy, Agincourt, and Poitiers. These victories were primarily due to the longbow's combat range and volume of fire. However, the leaders of the day understood the preparation and the other actions required on their part in order to gain the benefit from the longbow while shielding themselves from its weaknesses. The English kings, particularly Edward I and Edward III, had gone to great lengths in an attempt to come up with a tactical system for using the longbow in combat. In what Dr. Ira D. Gruber calls the English home games, the English fought many battles, such as Falkirk and Halidon Hill, against the Scots, where they perfected their tactics before they went to the away games against the French. In fact, the Battle of Halidon Hill against the Scots in 1333 is almost a mirror image of the Battle of Crécy against the French in 1346. In modern terms, we would say that these weapons had advantages and disadvantages, and for them to be effective on the battlefield, the leader had to understand each weapon's strengths and weaknesses and weave these into his tactical organization and his battle plan in order to maximize upon the advantages and protect himself from the weaknesses. It may have been a long time ago, but crude or stupid, it wasn't. The leaders devoted a great deal of thought on how to incorporate these weapons into a winning team, and we expect nothing less of you today.
There's a movement in this country to surrender the Second Amendment.
Listen to this. There is no reason for anyone in this country, anyone except a police officer or a military person, to buy, to own, to have, to use a handgun.
And, still quoting, the only way to do that is to change the Constitution.
That's not some nobody. That's the president of NBC News.
You see, they want to repeal your constitutional right to keep and bear arms. Well, you can help stop it by joining the NRA.
For just $25, you'll get a year of great magazines and member benefits, and you'll be where all honest gun owners belong, in the NRA.
If you want to keep the rights your founding fathers entrusted to you,
the rights the Constitution guarantees to you,
the rights the NRA protects for you.
Call now.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or television station.
Hi, I'm Bill McIntyre with another update from Capitol Hill here at National Rifle Association headquarters in Washington, D.C. You know, when it comes to child safety, there's no substitute for education. In fact, it is the good work of the National Rifle Association and other worthwhile organizations across the country who have spread the message about public safety and education awareness when it comes to firearm safety. And the payoff has been tremendous. As a matter of fact, over the last 15 years, the number of fatal firearms accidents among children 15 and younger has gone down by more than 52%. But you know what? Even one accident is too many, and the NRA is moving forward. We have instituted new programs and will continue to institute new programs to help reduce the number of firearms accidents in all age groups, but specifically and most importantly among kids. As a result, joining me today is Melinda Bridges, the program manager for the Eddie Eagle Gun Safety Program. Melinda, why don't you tell me a little bit about this new Eddie Eagle program?
The Eddie Eagle program is designed to keep children to be safe with a very simple safety message around guns.
Okay, I understand it has several different levels for youngsters. Describe what that's all about.
Okay, we've divided the program up into 3 levels according to curriculum. The first level is pre-kindergarten through 1st grade, the second level is grades 2 and 3, and the last level, known as level 3, is grades 4, 5, and 6.
I understand you've been around for a number of years and you've been all across the country. Where has Eddie been and what kind of reception has he been getting?
We designed the program back in 1988, and Eddie literally has been taught in all 50 states now, and Canada and Puerto Rico.
How many children have you reached?
Almost a little over 4 million at this point, and rising.
Well, we know that the message that's being taught is consistent with other messages out there. The whole idea is safety and to prevent what we all fear, which would be a horrible accident with a firearm. Have there been any good stories coming out of the Eddie Eagle program? Have lives been saved among kids?
We actually have a lot of anecdotes that we share when Eddie comes to visit students, and some of them have been that even a year after the program's been taught, they have come across firearms and had followed the safety message and remembered it.
Well, that's terrific. I understand the program is free as well. Is that true?
Yes, to schools and law enforcement agencies across the country, and then parents can also order it for a nominal charge to teach their children.
Well, that's terrific. Well, I think the most important thing, however, is what the message is from Eddie Eagle, and I'll just step back a little bit, and Melinda, if you will, we'll let the mascot, Eddie Eagle himself, demonstrate that child safety message.
Okay, Eddie, are you ready to do your stuff? All right, if you see a gun, stop, don't touch, leave the area, and tell an adult.
Okay, it's certainly a message we can all live with. Melinda, one more thing. If in case anybody really wants to get some of this information for themselves, how do they do it?
They can contact the Eddie Eagle Department within the NRA, and our telephone number is 1-800-231-0752.
Okay, that's terrific. On behalf of Melinda Bridges and Eddie Eagle himself, I'm Bill McIntyre. I'll be back next week with another update from Capitol Hill.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to introduce a very good friend of ours, a good friend of the Shootin' Show for that matter. This is Larry Scott, and Larry is a very well-known, nationally known radio personality, has been for a number of years, and Larry is a fan of our program, and he's a very fine shooter and a gun enthusiast. And I have a story to tell. Years ago when I met Larry, he's really a nice guy because he would play my records years ago in Dallas when nobody else would.
Well, John, it's a pleasure to be a part of the show. Let me say, you've been making good records for a long time, a fine singer. And the thing I like about John, he's always enthusiastic about what he does. And I know you're excited about the show that you've been doing here. We're excited for you because you're reaching that part of America that believes in real things.
Well, yes, sir, I agree with that. I like that. We sincerely are. And, of course, you know how hard our job has been is just to represent shooters as what we are, as normal American people, as I've told our audience many times. Well, Larry, let's tell them about your program, in fact.
Well, we do what we call the Interstate Road Show on KWKH. It's the old Louisiana Hayride station out of Shreveport, Louisiana, from midnight to 5:30, Monday through Friday morning. And we cater to the trucking industry, but we include everybody.
Well, Larry, I have been on your program. I remember I have listened to you get calls from California to Georgia to Florida to wherever else, because you reach a tremendous number of people.
We reach a number of states, well, from Florida out through Arizona, and once in a while in California, all across the southern part of the United States, and some up into Colorado and Kansas and Missouri. But, yeah, it's a privilege to talk to people every night. And, you know, the people that listen to my show really believe in what you do. And in fact, your latest record talks about, conservative America.
Well, it does.
And I'm proud of it. And I've had people call and say, just tell old John we believe in what he's doing.
Well, I appreciate that very much, Larry. Now, folks, you saw it here. Larry's going to assist us, and we're going to hold him to this. We're going to get him to assist us on some of our gun tests and things, because he is a gun enthusiast also. And you can hear some of updates about our program on his show at night.
Right.
And he's on Central Time of midnight to 6 o'clock. Am I correct?
Midnight to 5:30.
Midnight to 5. Well, that's
used to be midnight to 6.
But friends, I tell you what, Larry is a tremendous person. He's one of the nicest people that I have ever met around our industry, and you'll really enjoy his program. If you're traveling or you stay up late, or heck, they can set their cassette. They can set it and tape part of your show, because so many of our viewers are already listening to you, Larry, and we appreciate so much working with you.
Our pleasure to be here.
I'm proud to be an American, thank God our country's strong. But some time ago, you know what occurred to me? There's something going wrong. My granddad fought against tyranny so we could all be free. I'm afraid, my friends, his fight has passed down to you and me, down to you and me. We got people telling us what to do, we don't even know our name. We're just a number on some little card, and I think that's a shame. If George and Abe could see us now, bet they'd both agree this is not exactly what they had in mind. The land of liberty, sweet land of liberty. Oh, I love to hear my Harley run. I like being free to live out my dreams, and I want to have a little fun. I want to hold on to what we've got, proceed to shine and see. I'm afraid, my friend, the fight is past, down to you and me. Oh, down to you and me. Politicians and bureaucrats all telling us what to do, and they don't seem at all concerned about what they put us through. They tax and spend like there's no end, throw it all away. Just keep in mind there'll come a time when nobody's left to pay. Oh, nobody's left to pay. There's people that wanna lock us up just to keep us away from harm. They want a police state to give us orders so they can get us unarmed. There's folks that say they know the truth, well, they saw it on TV. We got some boys on Capitol Hill, don't wanna have us free. No, they don't wanna have us free. My Harley run. I like being free to live out my dreams, and I want to have a little fun. I want to hold on to what we've got, proceed to shine and see. I'm afraid, my friends, the fight is past, down to you and me. Oh, down to you and me. Down, down, down to you and me. Oh, down, down, down to you and me. Down, down, down. You and me. Down to you and me. Down, down, down to you and me.
Friends, we hope you enjoyed our video. A lot of us worked so hard on making it. And really, we want to tell you that we appreciate your support so much from around the country. We've heard from so many people in support of what we're doing, and in fact, in support of the statement we make on our video. You can order copies of our video for $17.95. Send us a check or money order, whichever. And also, we're offering a music tape that has 10 of my songs, including our video, Down to You and Me, the song anyway, including the song on the video. I'll get it right in a minute. Anyway, that's $9.95 for that tape. And you can get that by writing to us, The Shootin' Show, 554 Kings Highway in Shreveport, Louisiana. That zip code is 71104. And friends, please, we need to ask you another small favor. If you would, please call your local radio station and ask them to play our song, Down to You and Me. It's on a CD. It's a compilation CD, the Tennessee Star Track Sizzling Summer Singles 2. And ask them if they would to please play our song, because you know what? Every time our song or our video plays anywhere, it gets our project, it gets the Shootin' Show a little bit of publicity, which we certainly need. All of us as shooters and gun enthusiasts really do need to get our message out, and this helps our program. If you would like to have an official Shootin' Show cap with a little gun on it and our logo, the Shootin' Show, you can get that for $12.95. Send us a check or money order to the Shootin' Show, and again, that address is 554 Kings Highway, Shreveport, Louisiana. The zip is 71104. $12.95 for the caps. So we've had a tremendous response. In fact, I had no idea that so many people would want Shootin' Show caps, but we really do appreciate it. You can wear it to the range, you can wear it down the gun shop, you can wear it to the grocery store, and a lot of people will ask you, and please tell them, well, I'm a supporter, I'm a viewer of the Shootin' Show. And doggone it, if they're not, they ought to be. So anyway, we appreciate your support so much. I tell you what, friends, the wolf is climbing in the window. We have got to make our statement and make our stand where our rights as gun owners go. So we appreciate everyone who's helping us and hanging there with us. We're doing what we can. Now, friends, you remember last week we were comparing the Colt Sporter to the Ruger Mini 14. So we're going to continue that today. I think you'll find it interesting.
Anyway, back to the drawing board. Let's go ahead and shoot. In fact, I think we'll shoot our Colt Sporter first. We're going to use a couple of different types of ammunition. We have some Hansen. This is 55 grain full metal jacket ammunition at .223. And Hansen is made in Israel by the Israeli military industry. And that's their sign there. And I'll tell you what, friends, if there's anybody that knows how to make good ammunition, I believe it's the Israelis. And of course we have some Federal, and of course Federal is one of my very favorite brands anyway. We have some .223 Remington 55 grain soft point. So let's take a look at how these guns shoot in comparison with each other. We get a lot of questions about, say, well, Johnny, what would you rather have, a Mini 14 or an AR-15 or a Colt Sporter in this case? And I say, well, it's whichever gun you like. So let's take a look at how they shoot together and just see what happens. All right, friends, we're going to try the Hansen full metal jacket ammunition in our Colt Sporter, and it is so important to have this steady rest. Now, I prefer to stand up when I shoot. Of course, you have the option of sitting down, but personally, I prefer to stand up. So what I did is I put the gun, I put a rest height at about 5 feet. Now I'm 6 feet 5 inches tall, so this lets me stoop down and brace myself on the table so I can get a good, steady, and firm rest. So let's go ahead and shoot our Sporter. We've loaded our magazine in the well there. We'll pull back on the charging handle there and let it go. Now our safety's applied, so let's get in position here. Get our wrist good and solid. My hearing protection's in good because these things are loud. All right, take another one. Get our sight picture reacquired and get comfortable with it, getting good and solid. And squeeze. And just to make a point, friends, you can tell the lack of recoil with this Colt Sporter. It just doesn't have much recoil at all. You can go out and shoot it literally all day and it's not going to hurt you. All right, let's take one more shot for our group and get good and set along about. Okay, we're going to change ammunition in the magazine now. We're going to put the Federal .223 Remington, the 55 grain soft point, and let's see what it does through our Colt Sporter. In fact, we're going to go ahead and do that. Then we're going to change over and shoot the Mini 14. So we'll do that right now.
Now, friends, we're going to take a break for just a moment for your local cable company or TV station. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more of The Shootin' Show. Now, friends, for the absolute best in monthly shooting magazines, turn to Shooting Times magazine. With all sorts of excellent features on handguns, rifles, shotguns, and black powder by some of your favorite gun writers, such as Dick Metcalf and Rick Jameson, and our good friend Bill Jordan, just to name a few. Each month you'll find interesting articles on guns, shooting, reloading, and new products in the firearms industry, that along with information on pending legislation of interest to all gun owners. For subscription information, call 1-800-727-4353. Shooting Times, the best there is.
All right, friends, we just completed our second group with the Colt Sporter. Now let's shoot a group from the sandbags with the Ruger Mini 14. And a lot of you know that these are one of my favorite guns. In fact, both of these guns are two of my very favorite guns, because they're just fun to shoot. They're easy for everyone in the family, the kids and your wife or girlfriend or whoever, and certainly you can shoot one of these regardless of what your physical stature size may be. Anyway, let's go ahead and shoot with the full metal jacket ammunition, the Hansen. And we checked velocities on the two guns earlier, and they're actually pretty close to each other. The Ruger is going to be, maybe 75, 100 feet per second slower, simply because it has an 18-inch barrel versus the Colt has a 20-inch barrel. Anyway, enough said. Let's go ahead and get these groups on paper so we'll know what we're talking about. All right, we're loaded. Safety's off. Get down here in position. Now, the Ruger, of course, doesn't have a flash hider in the evenings. This thing really makes a fireball at the end of that barrel. Here we go. In position. And I think you'll see the Ruger is a little smaller, has a little bit more recoil, still not objectionable, but has a little more recoil. Get our sight picture back. Gently squeeze. Be sure those sights are settled down before you squeeze that trigger. And here we go. All right. Now then, we're going to change ammunition, shoot another group, and we're going to go ahead and do that. So the next thing you'll see, let's go on down to our targets when we finish here and see what, in fact, the guns did on paper. All right, friends, you can see here we have our Colt Sporter groups. The group on the top is the Hansen Full Metal Jacket. The group on the bottom is the Federal Soft Point, and we draw a little circle around. We labeled both of them. So let's measure and see. I'll tell you what, with open sights, that little Colt shoots pretty darn good. So this one, measuring center to center on the furthest hole. Well, my goodness, that one is a little bit less than 1.5 inches. About 1 inch and 1.4 inches. So we're going to label that, which is in fact a real good group, especially for open sights and military type ammunition. Now then, the Federal Soft Point is a little bigger, and we're going to open our caliper up here. And let's see, open it a little further. and that's a little bit under 2 inches with the Federal soft point. So it like the Hanson full metal jacket here. So we're going to call that, this is 1.9 inches, which is still a pretty darn good group between 85 and 90 yards with open sights. Now then, let's go over here and check the target shot with our Ruger Mini 14. Let's draw a circle around our groups here with the Mini 14. All right. With the Hanson full metal jacket is 2.2 inches. So we'll mark that down. All right, so the Colt went an inch, 1.4 inches. This one went 2.2, which again is not bad with open sights from a rest like that. And let's measure the Federal soft point ammunition. And it's going to be a little bit bigger, I think. Let's see, about. Okay, almost 2.5, about 2.4. Let's see, 2.46 in fact. Well, again, 2.46 inches, still not a bad group. What we're seeing here, and I think it's typical of what you're going to see in comparison, the Colt is going to shoot a little tighter groups, say out to 100 yards or so, due to the nature of the construction of the two guns. As far as saying which one's better, the Mini 14 is a terrific gun, but I think that we're going to have to give, certainly today, we're going to have to give the Colt the edge as far as group size. But of course, neither one of the guns performed badly today. Both of them did real well, but at least this is what our two brands of ammunition, and if we had some more brands and shot several more groups, I think we would still probably continue to see the same results. This is still not bad. The Mini 14 did not do badly. It's just that the Colt Sporter shoots a little bit tighter, certainly at the distance we're at. Now, friends, what we did today was a very limited exercise with both of these very fine guns. The Ruger is available in blue and in stainless steel. The Colt has a very, very rugged and durable finish. I assume it to be some kind of parkerizing, something like that. The Ruger is an all-steel gun. The Colt has an alloy receiver, and it has really proven itself to be battle-worthy and durable literally all over the world. So I really don't, this is a hard choice because I like both of these guns. The Colt is a little more accurate. The Ruger is certainly going to be reliable and durable. Someone may say, well, the Ruger's available in stainless. Well, trust me on this one, if you don't take some care of stainless, it will rust too. Just like any other metal, it won't rust as fast. It is what they call rust resistant. It's not rust proof. Now, friends, these are endangered species right here because the anti-gun crowd desperately wants to take both of these guns along with a whole bunch more away from us. And it is just ridiculous. And as I've said many times before, we have got to make a stand. We have got to stand up for our rights because these people are not reasonable. You know, a lot of us have always felt like if you could reason with someone, you could explain your position. Well, trust me on this one, the people who want to disarm us do not think like we do. They do not have any intent but total disarmament of the American public. And friends, I tell you what, a lot of these people cannot, it seems like they cannot be reasoned with. So that being the case, we have to beat them in Congress. We've got to beat them on a local level. We've got to stand up for our rights or we're not going to have any guns left. You know, our American flag is red and white stripes. I've heard it put that white was for the ideals of a great society. And a lot of you are well aware that our ideals of Western civilization. Many of them are based on the Judeo-Christian ethic, and some of us out there will argue that, but I believe if you go back in history and you read the Federalist Papers and you read what the founders of this country put down in writing, you will see what, in fact, their ideas were based on. And the white as an ideal, and the red on the flag, the blood of the people who fought and died to get us what we've got today. And friends, I tell you what, I'm not ready to give it up. I am not at all, and I don't think most of us are. And I'm not ready to give these guns up either, and I believe that most of you feel just like I do. Friends, we've got to do something. We have got to do everything we can. Join the National Rifle Association, and please support the Shooting Show. Hope you enjoyed our test on these. I certainly enjoyed doing it. The Colt AR-15 / Colt Sporter and the Ruger Mini 14, two very fine guns. They're good at what both of them do, and you pays your money and you takes your choice. The Colt is retailing now for about $700 or so. The Ruger is about $450 to $500, so you just take your choice on what you'd rather have.
Now, friends, all of us as gun enthusiasts need to be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. Their address is Post Office Box 669, Hastings, Nebraska. That zip code is 68902. Their phone number is area 402-463-4589. MasterCard or Visa, subscriptions only. Call them at 1-800-345-6923. For all your shooting needs in the Arklatex area, come to Britton's at 517 Louisiana Avenue, Shreveport, Louisiana. That zip is 71101. Their phone number is area 318-221-4131. We also want to remind you they have a second location now in Hollywood, also in Shreveport. Now here's how you can write to your congressman. Put the Honorable, whoever it may be, U.S. Capitol, the House, or the Senate in Washington, D.C. The zip code for the House is 20515. The zip code for the Senate is 20510. If you don't know who your representative is, you can call area 202-224-3121. Give them your zip code, and they can tell you who to write to. Friends, just say we don't want any more gun laws. A simple letter. We've got to do it. We have got to stand up for our rights. We sincerely hope you've enjoyed this week's program as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. Remember, if something's going on in your area, a feature that you think that we might be able to cover, Kurt, of course, is in the Northeast, and I'm down here in Louisiana. We may have some chance of getting there, so please let us know. Call us at the Shooting Show here in Shreveport. Until next week, look forward to seeing you on the next Shooting Show.